Hi, welcome to All About Water Leaks and Dormer Windows. What causes it, how to fix it. Two main causes: inadequate flashing. By that I mean the lead that goes down between the plastic of the dormer window in this case and the tile roofs. You can see in the picture it's the grey covering the tiles all around the dormer window.
The other main problem area is water leakage from the sill. Often the window is mounted on the sill and drilled through into the sill, creating a source for water to drown down into the sill and through into the roof, and also ineffective flashing under the sill.
So here we've got inadequate flashing. This metal flashing should go right into the valley of the tile. Instead it's sitting a little bit near the peak, which means in strong winds and rain, the wind and rain can have water going down the other side of the peak in the tile, which then makes it right next to the dormer window, which should be waterproofed by some felt, but this is where you'll get weakness in the felt and cracks, and felt gets really old as it ages, and water has a possibility of getting into the roof in places like this. So a quick solution is to silicone seal, or I much prefer polymer seal, which is a much more tacky, sticky, long-lasting seal. Something like this stuff. Look for the words polymer technology on it and seal it up to stop the water getting the other side of the tile. So next we'll do that.
So we'll just put a line of polymer sealant in between the tile and the lead flashing to stop the water going in between the two. Push the lead down as we go. Pay particular attention to the gap between the two tiles where the lead can't or won't push all the way down to be flush on the tile, so apply quite a bit of the sealant on that edge section, as we see us doing here. It's very tacky polymer, so once it's touched it won't let go, unlike silicone that can easily split apart from surfaces such as lead. So once you've applied the sealant, push the lid back in nicely. So here we can actually see the lead is insufficiently thick and it's actually coming out from under the plastic boarding. Really the lead should go up underneath the plastic board. So lead has been used as far too narrow here. Not only is it unable to cover the tile properly, but it's been unable to be placed so that it goes up underneath the UPVC plastic boarding. So we should really take the whole lead off and put a thicker or wider piece of lead on, but what we're going to do is a fix that's a lot easier. Polymer sealant is long lasting, so it should be quite a long lasting fix as well. So once we've sealed down this edge, we're then going to have to apply some more polymer sealant in between the lead and the UPVC boarding to make sure there's no water that gets through the other side of the lead. We'll just finish off this section first, pushing all the lead down. So just a quick comment here, lead is poisonous, so you'd be best to wear rubber gloves as I'm doing here, and also wash your hands afterwards, I would say, just in case any gets through any little breaks. So we'll push all the lead back in place, and then next job is to seal on the other side of the lead flashing. So should really use a little hammer. You can get special plastic hammer specifically for knocking down lead, but since I haven't got the hammer and I'm halfway up the ladder, I'll just use the end of the filler gun, which for this small job is easy enough. Bit of a compromise, but time is money, as they say. So now we'll fill between the other side of the lead and the plastic UPVC boarding. Run it all the way down, make sure there's no gaps, and just use the finger to smooth it out and make sure it's pushed into any gaps. Make sure it's all watertight. There we go. Don't want to use too much so that it's messy, but need to use enough to make sure all the gaps are sealed. Not the most professional way of fixing the job, I might have to admit, because obviously a wider piece of lead would be better, and taking all the UPVC board off and refitting it would be better, but that's a much bigger job, and for this relatively minor problem I think this is certainly the quickest, cheapest way of fixing it, and I'm sure it's going to last a long time. So the other problem area that we've just spotted on this installation is the gap between the front piece of UPVC fascia and the side pieces of UPVC. You can see there's a gap between the two. Should really be a corner piece that's moulded into the front piece of plastic that goes all the way around to the side, but they've just fitted flat boards and tried to seal it with silicone in between the two. And I was saying earlier, silicone is not particularly tacky substance and does fairly easily separate after it's hardened. So here we're using some white polymer sealant, which is, as I say, much tackier. Seal up the gap between the two. Lay down a bead to completely cover the gaps between the two parts first. The front board was also cut off, exposing the core inner foam, so we'll cover the edge with polymer sealant as well to make it more waterproof. Need to try and make it look nice, and so use your finger to smooth it off nicely. Have to be careful here because it's easy to make it look messy, so it needs a few goes to get it looking smooth. Again, not the most professional of finishes looking at it up close, but you don't tend to see these things up close because you're on the outside of the house, and from a distance of any more than about 10 or 20 foot it'll look absolutely fine. And again, the alternative and somewhat better option would be to completely replace the front piece of UPVC that has a moulded corner piece on it, but this is as long lasting, I would say, as solution, and is a lot quicker. Polymer sealants are really very good nowadays, same sort of sealant that they use on seams of car bodies, and it's not often you see car body seams coming apart or splitting nowadays, so they're all quite good solutions. So we'll just finish that off. So that's a neat enough solution, I think, certainly from a distance. Then we've got the same problem on the other side, so we'll do exactly the same job on that one. So there we go, that one near enough done.
Next problem area is over here, so we'll seal this off.
So some of you may be thinking, oh no, you can't seal off that gap because that's where the water drains out from the window on top of the sill. But what we're going to do is seal up the original drain gaps, positions, and make new drain holes for the window, and that stops water going down through the drill holes that are in the sill. So we're also sealing up other gaps between the window frame and the other bits of white UPVC, as well as the bottom horizontal gap. We need to seal a few vertical ones as well. and just smooth it off again with your finger, trying to get it to look as neat as possible while also sealing off all the holes. See, one of the issues you can find is with a large gap in between the window frame and the sill. In high winds, the wind will blow water up into that gap, and where you've got screws that go down through the sill, of course the water will follow the screws, go down through the bottom of the sill, and if you've got insufficient lead flashing, or the screw goes through the lead flashing under the sill as well, then water will find its way past the lead flashing and into the roof area, where you'll then get it dripping down into the room below. So we'll just finish off filling these gaps, and then the remaining job is to give alternative drain positions for the window frame. What we're going to do is block up the original gaps in the bottom of the frame where the water flows out of the frame, and drill holes through the front of the window that we'll see in a minute, and insert some plastic tubes. It's far better for the water to come out the front of the window rather than the bottom of the window, and you can see where the water's going, and also it allows you, of course, to do what we've done here, which is to seal up the gap between the window frame and the sill.
This job, now that we've sealed between the sill and the window, which you can see here, is to drill some alternative drain holes, because now we've filled up the gap, then we've got nowhere for the water to come out. These were the original drain slots which go down through the bottom of the window. Now we've got to seal these up and drill some new holes so the water comes out on the front of the window, but below the seal that's on the bottom of the window mechanism that opens. So really we've got to have a hole coming out about here. Drill through here, so going down about 45 degrees, and we're going to put a tube in, polymer seal around it, and to seal up around the tube so the water only has a choice but to go out to the front of the window. The other area where you'll get water going down through the window into the sill and into the woodwork below is where people have drilled the holes too long and penetrated the sill, often penetrated the lead tray which should be under the sill. Often there's poor fitment to the lead tray as well. So we've got to seal up where all these screw holes are, as well as sealing the original drain slots, and also we're sealing the corners, because what can happen with UPVC windows, due to the stresses on the window, you can get cracks along these welded seams, and again water can leak through those. So we'll clean all these up, seal it with sealant, so the water doesn't have a choice but to go out the front out of our new drain holes.
And now we drill our holes that will take the plastic tubing which forms our new drain holes. So drill at 45 degrees. Next job is to clean out the hole.
Try and fit the tube.
Then we need to cut the end off the tube with a scalpel blade, leaving perhaps a millimetre of the tube sticking out on the outside. Then do the same on the top end. Cut it so that the tube is flush with the top of the UPVC. When you cut it originally it can be a little bit higher, and then just push the tube further down to make sure it's flush. That makes sure the water goes down the tube properly.
Fair enough. Let's check the window shuts. That's okay. We'll do the next one. We'll clean this off. Clean this off. Trim the tube. This time we can just cut a little bit of an edge off. Top off. Take it down flush, and then we'll slice the bottom off. So, there we go.
So next we seal up around the corner, seal over the original screw holes, seal up the original drain holes, which are open slots in this case, and we put some sealant around our plastic drain tubes so that the water goes down the inside of the tube rather than the outside. Just take a little bit of care to make sure that the polymer sealant goes all the way around the tube and the tube is flush with the surface of the window frame so that the water can go straight down the tube. So here we just seal up the last few drain holes. And do the same thing again, putting the sealant around the tube. Push up the tube so it stands a little bit proud to start with, put the sealant around it and push the tube back down again so it's flush. And once that's all done, job is finished. And all of the possible leaking areas around the dormer window should be fixed. And in my experience, that seems to fix all of the problems. Thanks for watching.